The next topic is on sustaining self-control. I find this is something that's relevant to absolutely every human being except for sociopaths. This is something that we all wrestle with because we work day in and day out trying to live against our biology. And it's not to say that we shouldn't, but we are at odds with the way that we are designed. Our lives are internalized, lifelong argument. And that's why we get angry when Starbucks is not open when we decide to go there. So the other day, that's exactly what happened to me. I had to get up early to go to a job site. I work in construction, so I had to be out there on the job site first thing in the morning. And I head out the door, I'm going to the job site. It's 4 o'clock in the morning though, and I'm heading out, and I'm like, man, if I gotta get up early, at least I'm gonna hit Starbucks, I'm gonna treat myself to my chai tea latte. And so I'm heading down the road, I've got my mind fixed on it, I know I'm gonna get there and it's gonna be delicious, it's gonna be exactly what I need to just start my day in the right way. And as I pull up on the Starbucks, it's dark. And I'm like, well, wait, maybe it's just the way I'm angling. I pull up a little bit closer and I see the lights are out and there's somebody in there like moving chairs around. And I'm like, and all of a sudden, I get angry. I get really angry about this, all right? I wanted that Starbucks to be open. And so I wonder to myself, I say, why is it that I feel this way? What caused that feeling inside of me to be so frustrated about this? It's just Starbucks, but I'm so angry. And then another time I went to Starbucks and the lady behind the counter, I'm a regular at one of them, and they didn't have what I normally got, and she recognized this, and going above and beyond in customer service, she goes, you know what we do have, my tea, they didn't have my little sandwich I like to get, but they have my tea, and the tea is on the house today. And I'm like, and I felt so good. I was like, wow, it feels so good. But again, I stopped, I thought to myself, why? Why is it I feel so good at this unexpected reward? And I didn't stop at asking those questions. I really looked into it, and I wondered about it. I talked over with friends, and the reason why we are so happy when things work out better than we expected, and so unhappy when they don't work out that way, is our body is trying to keep us alive. And in our lives, with what we do as human beings, the reason why we're here today having this conversation with all these neat gadgets and people watching it on YouTube, is because we can identify and recognize patterns. And in order to really build this idea out, I need to take you back in time a long ways. In fact, I don't have to take you back a long ways. I could only take back 200 years, because really the last 200 years, like 200 years ago, people were being eaten by wolves, right? We were all living, no electricity, we were burning, fire with candles. That was our life, The world was so very dark and sparsely populated and scary. But if you want to even go further back than that, let's go back thousands and thousands of years. And those people that were walking around then, how were they going to make it? How were they going to survive? And our brains have developed in such a way as to ensure our survivability. And what they do is they punish us, our brains, our own brains, right up here. They will punish you for making bad predictions. And they will reward you for making good ones. It's called the prediction error response. So when I went to the Starbucks that morning and I expected, all right, that Starbucks to be open, when it wasn't open, my brain said, you made a bad prediction. And all of a sudden I feel pain. But what is that pain? In fact, one of the things about this lecture is, it said there when I saw the description, is one of the things is like sustaining happiness. Well, happiness is a proper, consistent balance of dopamine. That's really what happiness is. And so as I went there, my brain, and dopamines are a neurotransmitter that the brain uses to reward the behavior it wants you to do and to punish you when you don't do what it wants you to do. And so when I went up there, I had a little bit of dopamine rolling around in my brain. And when I pulled up and that was not there, it sucks it all up. And then I'm like, and I really feel angry. And then when I find an unexpected reward, it gives you a big shot of dopamine. So let me give this in a case example. 5,000 years ago, I'm walking through the woods. And every day I come out of my hole and I walk past a rock. And then I walk past a tree. And then I walk past a little creek. And on the other side of that creek, one day I find strawberries. See, the body is very concerned with three things, okay? They would say in the past, shelter. I think it's really safety, because that's all really shelter is getting you is safety. So you have safety, you have food, and you have reproduction. Right? So when I go to the creek and I see the strawberries on the other side, that is sustenance, that is food. And it says, hey, good job, you've just found strawberries. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And I go over and I eat some of the strawberries, and my body recognized that. Now, as I was walking in there, the little short-term memory recorder is on. And one of the things we're really good at is we're remembering all those little things along the way. So the next day when I go along the same path, I'm walking along and I see the rock. And this time though, my brain wants me to go there. It remembers. And so it's going to give me a little drip of dopamine when I get to the rock. And then I walk a little bit further and my eyes sense the tree. It's like, there's the tree. And it gives me a little bit more. It's like leading me by the nose where it wants me to go. And then I see the river, and it gives me a little bit more. The creek, it gives me a little bit more. And then there are the berries. And I'm like, and it's like, hey, good boy. Now what's interesting, and one thing to note here is that second time I see the berries is not the same dopamine amount as the first time. It's going to be much more the first time. It wants to sink that in our minds. Like, this is really good. You are going back here tomorrow. We're going to get more of those berries. So this goes on for a little while, and I'm going to the thing, and I get my little dopamine drip, and I'm following the breadcrumbs of dopamine from the house to the berries every day. And then one day, I get over there, and there's no berries. And it knows this. It knows if I keep making decisions like this, if I keep going on paths that don't have berries, we are going to die. We're not going to reproduce, we won't be saved, this is over. There was no passing on our genetics to the next generation and none of that stuff. And so what it does is it takes away all that drug, all that pleasure drug that it self-administers in my mind. And I'm like, I hate that. I don't like the way that makes me feel. And that punishes me for it. And I might even try to go back there tomorrow because reason's saying, hey, they were there before, which they should be there again, you know. Go there again. It's going to punish me again. It's going to keep punishing me. So that was there. It's built in to make us survive. It's there to make sure we reproduce, that we eat food, that we have safety and shelter. So the trick to sustaining self-control is recognizing first that we are always in control of ourselves. There's nobody else controlling me, unless you like here pushing me behind. So what we're really saying is that when I say self-control, what I don't mean is that I'm saying it's other control. What I'm saying is there's something inside of me that I do not identify as myself that's controlling me. And so we're really discerning between the two parts, whether it's the instinctual, visceral control, or if it's the cognitive control, the thoughtful, rational, cognitive control. So the question then comes up: do I want to live on autopilot, or do I want to fly this plane on my own? And so who should be really in control of the plane? And the answer is that there's no right answer. No right answer for every situation to be all the time. If you put the pilot in control, there's huge challenges with that. If you put the autopilot on and just run through life, there's huge challenges with that as well. And I'm just going to illustrate a couple of them here. So the dopamine is where we get butterflies. All right. So the first kiss will never be the same as the second. And so some people in life, they have to find that next first kiss over and over and over again. And so the rationale part of our brain says, hey, listen, if we keep doing this, You know, there's communicable diseases here. There's shallowness of relationships. If we're constantly chasing that first kiss over and over and over again, we're really just seeing that dopamine dump in our minds. Is that, or is that not, what we really want to how we want to live our lives? This is also why people got to buy that next big car. I need to get that next big thing. I need to have that next big jump in my life. This is why one of the reasons why we're so addicted to texts. And because it's unexpected reward. Hey, somebody talk to me. You know, it's an unexpected socialization moment. That little boom, you know, on your Facebook page, or that letter comes in the mail. My daughter gets a card from a family member in the mail, and she's just all excited. It's all just, you know, it's just wonderful, and it really is. But if we let that just run our lives, it can really end us up in a bad place. So we might say, all right, well, based on that, then we should really live in the more evolved top part of our brain here, and we should be always reasoning. But the problem with that is that it was designed to keep us alive, and so in certain circumstances, it actually makes a lot of sense, whether you're driving in the car or walking in the woods. So let's do the walking in the woods one first.